Why can't I remember what's next? I can't sleep. I have nightmares, so please stop asking me. My stomach hurts. God, why do I suck so much? I'm the freaking worst. Why am I like this? Do I have CPTSD? CPTSD stands for Complex Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. Unlike PTSD, which occurs after a singular traumatic and threatening event, CPTSD occurs when you're in a prolonged threatening and traumatic event where you feel no hope and little to no control of your situation. CPTSD, like PTSD, can be experienced by anyone. Veterans are not the only people who experience PTSD. That is a myth. Some groups that may develop CPTSD are those suffering from domestic violence, abusive relationships, living in war-torn areas, being held captive, or human trafficking. CPTSD is usually associated with childhood trauma and abuse. And that means physical abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, bullying, emotional abuse like neglect, and the list goes on. Doesn't that include a lot of people? Yes. Yes, it does include a lot of people, and that's why we need to know what CPTSD is. I think a lot of people go through trauma, prolonged or not, that most people want to recognize, but we need to recognize that this is happening so people can get help. Symptoms of CPTSD include, number 1, re-experiencing through flashbacks and or nightmares where you can feel physically ill or weak. Number 2, avoidance and emotional numbing. Avoidance can come out as blaming, hermiting, and can even turn into denial. Number 3, hyperarousal. Hyperarousal is where you feel too anxious to relax because you are consciously or unconsciously on the lookout for danger. This may present itself as irritability, outbursts of anger, inability to concentrate, and insomnia. Number 4, dissociation. Dissociation is a change in consciousness where you leave your body and your mind. It's super scary. Number 5, little to no ability to regulate your emotions, meaning feeling no ability to control any of your emotions. Number 6, self-negative self-perception, where you're riddled with guilt, shame, and you think yourself worthless. You feel like if your life is this bad, it must be your fault. But it's not your fault. Someone abusing you is never going to be your fault, no matter what they say, even if they're screaming it in your face. Number 7, a distorted perception of your abuser. For most of those suffering from CPTSD, there is an abuser, and it's likely that that abuser may be someone who is somewhat your caretaker, or it might be even someone who says they love you. You end up spending a lot of time thinking about this relationship and trying to convince yourself that this is okay, and giving them full power over you is okay. Or it can go the opposite way and you become obsessed with revenge. These are only some of the symptoms you may be experiencing if you have CPTSD. I also want to note that having CPTSD puts you at higher risk of having other mental illnesses. For example, I am diagnosed with CPTSD with depression and anxiety. Does any of this sound familiar to you? If it does, then please talk to your doctor or your counselor at school. I know getting help can be scary, but honestly, in my experience, there is nothing scarier and worse than constantly living in fear. Constantly living in fear that something's going to happen to you. Constantly living in fear that there is something wrong with you and you have no idea why. Constantly just feeling so crappy about yourself and wanting it to all just end. That's the real scary place to be. So please go get help. You deserve help. Yes, it is scary, but people are rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. I believe in you. And I know that out there's the possibility of something better. Yes, that was a lot. But, CPTSD is something that really needs to be talked about. Mental illness is something that needs to be talked about because there are a lot of us out there suffering. So stay tuned for my next video where I will be discussing my own personal experiences with CPTSD. Until next time, please things create some happiness in your life, whether that means that you are looking yourself in the mirror today and telling yourself that yes, you are worth something, or you're gonna go take a nap. It's your choice. Peace out. Bye.